Now, you testified as to what is the front entrance to the premises. Can I ask the lady in front of the judge to provide the witness with the photos that are currently offered and admitted?
What's the objection?
Sees the scope of direct.
I don't think she testified about the building.
She said that I was complaining about the distances that I had to walk in order to get into the building. And she testified that to get into the front entrance, I believe was the term, she used the front entrance as a marker point to where I could, she said first there's an employee entrance.
Oh.
And then there was, quote unquote, the front entrance. And I wanted to clarify what she's talking about. And I believe those two pictures are basically there.
I don't know which exhibits you want, though. You just need to tell us which one.
Logistically,
There should be a few there, Lily. There are a lot of photographs, so I don't think you need all of them.
maybe if you hand me the whole pile, I'll go through them.
That will be fine.
You can give me those blue things, I'll tell you. Okay. I'm going to stick one of these.
That's fine.
Is that a good idea?
Yes, thank you. But put it on the side so it sticks off the edge. That way she can find it easily. There you go. You may be able to make your point with just a few. I don't know if you really need all of them.
Well, unfortunately, I've got to say this, at least these, all of these, I'm just going to turn sideways like that. Fair
That's
enough?
fine. So, Ms. LeClaire, why don't you take those sideways ones and give them to the witness and give the folder with the other ones back to Lori. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, can you take, you said there's the employee entrance. Can you pick out the picture that's an employee entrance?
It'd be this first one.
And
Okay.
for the record, just what number's on that, the yellow sticker?
Number 18.
Thank you.
Okay, now, let's describe that entrance. Is it, that picture reasonably depicts the area in question, correct?
Correct.
So is it fair to say that that entrance goes from the parking lot to that door, right?
Objection.
What's the objection?
Again, it sees the scope of direct. It's been asked and answered.
I think, yeah, what I thought was appropriate for you to ask, I'm going to sustain the objection. You can certainly ask her to identify in the pictures the two entrances she talked about.
Well, what I'm
So-
trying to get at is she said this is the way employees get in. And
So if you want to ask her to show which one's the employee entrance and which is
Okay.
the other, that's
and
fine.
what's the other entrance?
The front entrance.
Well, that's part of it.
Okay, you don't get to testify. You get to ask the question.
I'm saying, you
She
know,
says that's it.
that's really not the entrance way.
Okay,
Again,
Mr. Nolan, you can only ask questions. If she tells you they're green men on the moon, that's what she tells you, whether it's right or wrong.
And this one.
okay, that's what you're considering the front.
Yes.
Okay. In order to go from where the walkway of the employee entrance, you have to walk how far?
I don't know the distance.
Is it a fair amount?
Objection.
Sustained. I think this evidence is already in the record, Mr. Nolen, in any case.
In terms of, if I walk through that door, the employee, now you've got a pass, you go through. What picture depicts the next area?
Which picture?
In other words, if I go through the door, what would I see?
Objection.
Overruled.
This is it, but kind of backwards.
In other words, that's looking, that's the door, right?
Right, this is looking from the front entrance of the building. This would actually be the door you would be, the employees enter.
And at the entranceway to that door, is there a buzzer system?
I don't know.
You just know because you use the card, right? Essentially,
I use a key, right, a keypad.
like a credit card?
It's, you swipe it over the front of the machine and the machine turns green and unlocks the door for me to get in.
All right, so in other words, in simple layman's terms, it's sort of like a credit, swiping the credit card deal? Okay, just so it occurs. Is there any sign on that door that basically says that handicapped people can't go through it?
Objection. Well,
Overruled. You can answer.
I don't remember seeing one.
You go through that door how many times a day?
I actually enter from the side of the building by Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
I choose to take the stairs.
Get your donuts more easily that way.
In terms of the doctor, did you try to go someplace, say on the internet, and try to locate the person, that doctor?
No,
Why not?
because my understanding was that this was out of Barry Internal Medicine, and that's where I made the choice to come.
But in other words, Barry Internal Medicine, if I understand your testimony, Barry Internal Medicine says, guy left X number of months, years, whatever. Did you ask them, where is he now?
Not that I remember,
Why not?
because I was specifically asking for him and while he was working at their practice. While he was-
But if you were trying to get the truth or the specifics of verifying the form in question, why wouldn't you basically try to find a doctor someplace?
Because he worked out of Barry Internal Medicine, and that's my understanding where you were a patient of, where I thought the medical records would be. And if they were the primary office and they didn't have the records available to them, I figured the doctor that left that practice would not be taking all of his files from all of his old patients with him to his new office.
But you don't know for sure whether the doctor would remember me as a patient, that there was something that stood out or whatever. Why would you
Okay,
basically?
why don't you let her answer that question?
Correct.
So how much time would it have taken you to go track a telephone book, a paper book, go on the internet, or better yet, contact the licensing section? I believe it's the Department of Health.
objection.
To
It's
basically
sustained. The
find.
jury can figure out themselves how long it would take to make a phone call or go on the internet.
Did you do any of that?
No,
Why not?
Because I was directed not, I wasn't directed to or not to. I was directed to call Barry Internal Medicine to receive documentation from them. And that was the direction I followed.
And who was the individual that told you that?
Trudy Ettlinger, who is our director of ADA.
Did you have any other discussion with, say, Donna Pratt or somebody else that might have been able to make those calls?
Not that I recall.
What about Donna Pratt's supervisor?
No.
Who's Donna Pratt's supervisor? Who was?
I don't know.
Were you present when Christian Forge was in her position?
Yes.
And did she subsequently refer another request for an ADA request?
Are you asking if I received another request from Kristen? No.
Why you're no longer processing the stuff, right?
Correct.
When you were processing the stuff, is there any provision for somebody to make a request for a reasonable accommodation without putting it on this particular form?
No, this form is required.
So in other words, let's say I've got a situation and I can't get this form. That the department, during your period that you were there, wouldn't accept the equivalent of all the different pieces of information that's on this form. If it was, I mean, this is the form. In other words, I'm saying each and every item on here, including signing.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustaining, asked and answered, she already said you have to use that form.
No exceptions.
No exceptions.
I call your attention to the second pages.
Mm-hmm.
And on the second page, I go into actual medical terminology in terms of my disability, correct?
Correct.
And of these terms, I basically state that I have toilet issues. And I also say in here that the only way that I can control not having this is basically to stop eating. Now, you sound like a reasonable person. Wouldn't you say that if somebody has to walk, and again, it says 1.2 miles, to and from my house to their office, get in here, and that somebody has to stop eating, that would be considered more urgent than, say, the routine type of frequencies, request for reasonable accommodation?
Objection, Your Honor. Mr.
Sustained.
Nolen keeps asking about an emergency process when it's apparent this complaint was made and considered.
Sustained.
But, Your Honor, if the department doesn't have any way of differentiating between routine, my food is, quote,
Mr. Nolen, I'm not going to have you arguing your argument right now. You can make that argument later, but let's move on.
you say that basically, you talk to somebody in Barry Internal Medicine. Who's that person?
Wanda.
Wanda who?
She answered the phone and said her name was Wanda.
Did you ever ascertain her last name?
I did not.
When you basically got the motor vehicle form, Mr. Groff, did you ever contact the Department of Motor Vehicles to verify the authenticity of that form?
No.
Wasn't that particular form, as the department got it, and as it's being offered, wasn't that a certified copy?
I don't recall.
Did you look at the back of, again, I don't have to exhibit, the back of the exhibit, on the back page, there was anything there?
I didn't see anything.
Can we have that exhibit shown to?
I'm not sure what relevance the certified or not certified has.
Well, the thing is that we're talking about a document that was filed with the Department of Motor Vehicles. We're talking about a document that in its original form as the department got.
Can I have you approach?